All right, welcome into the latest edition of the Second Half Draft Show. I'm your host, Juice, joined by Headley and Drew, and it feels like it's been quite some time since we've all been together. So, really looking forward to this show. The season is moving along expeditiously. If you're familiar with that particular broadcast, it's been a good season. Been a good season. We've got a lot to get to, so we won't belabor the point any further. I want to start with a look back at last week before we get into this week's matchups, as well as some prospects that have stood out. So, Headley, I'll start with you, man. Your thoughts on that Ole Miss LSU matchup? A lot of points scored.
Yeah, a lot of points. Jackson Dart, the running backs, Judkins, Ulysses Bentley. He stood out. He's not the man over there. It's Judkins, but Bentley is impressive himself. Physical running back. But I thought it was the offensive line of Ole Miss. I thought they neutralized Wingo, Mason Smith. I thought they did really well blocking it up. Ole Miss attacked the middle of the field. In the run game, pass game, had those crossers going. So, just so I thought LSU was going to pull away, because we spoke about the game last week, Drew, and it was like, yeah, LSU probably going to pull away a little bit. But just when we thought they were going to pull away, Ole Miss came fighting back. LSU had a lot of missed tackles. That defense for LSU doesn't look good. They got names on that defense, but a lot of missed tackles in that game. And, to me, Ulysses Bentley, the fourth, I thought he stood out in that game. Also, Trey Harris, the wide receiver, the transfer from Louisiana Tech, I thought he stood out too. What he does with the ball in his hands after the catch, making guys miss, scoring TDs. I thought he was impressive as well. Jaden Daniels, we had him as a Heisman hopeful coming in, and he's heating up right now, using his legs, using his arms. I think got to protect himself a little better on those run plays. He got blasted.
Yeah, he did. He got popped. Yeah.
He doesn't like to slide. He goes into hits. You kind of like to see it as a teammate, but then, as a coach, you don't want him in danger all the time. He's a quarterback, and we don't want him to get hurt. So he just got to do a little better job doing that. But the passing game, those slot fades, it looks good. Layering the ball, it's just his arm talent is really showing. Yeah, it's showing up right now. Just a touch that he puts on the football. The receivers, we talked about Malik Neighbors, wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3, but Brian Thomas Jr., the other wide receiver that you talked about last week, Drew, that's just tracking the ball. He had 3 TDs in that game, so really impressive job tracking the football. And Neighbors, man, he just moved different, man. That's all I got to say about Malik Neighbors. He just moves different from most guys, and you could tell when he's on the field, when he has the ball in his hands, before he gets the ball, it's this effortless movement, man. And he's a guy that he's going to be a first-round guy. There's a lot of first-round receivers, and I think he's on that list.
Yeah,
you think, bro? You think?
No, he is.
My guy like that, man.
He is on that list.
My guy like that.
He is on that list.
you did say you think, but nah. Yeah, I think Headley kind of hit it all in one. But I think Jackson Dart played very, very well. I think I haven't watched all of Ole Miss's games since he's been there, but I think he might have played the game of his life in that game, coming back from them boys losing to Bama. So, yeah, he was outstanding. Both running backs are outstanding. Judkins is like a bowling ball, bro. He was willing to put his head down, stick his nose in there, and run over whoever he had, whoever was in the way. Bentley's a little bit of a swifter, more agile type of running back, make people miss. And then who am I thinking about? Harris, Trey Harris, number 9, yeah. I thought he was outstanding. Just get the ball in his hands, let him make some moves, let him. He can make people miss. He can break tackles. He moved very, very well. I was looking for your boy Franklin. He caught a couple passes. He hasn't. I don't know. He's quite showed up this year, but maybe that'll show up here shortly. And then just LSU's defense. They pretty much neutralized Harold Perkins. He made a couple of plays, but for the most part, Jackson Dart was able to kind of avoid him. I know they were dropping him back into coverage. I know he had a couple of pass rushes, but he was pretty much almost non-existent in that game as far as I was concerned. The middle of the defense, like you said, Headley, is a problem. I think defensively, there's just a problem. And I was talking to my brother last week and the week before, and I said one of the biggest issues with college football in terms of how good a defense can be is missed tackles. Yeah. And I remember talking to you last week in terms of Utah. They were second before they played Oregon State, obviously. They were second in missed tackles in the country, right? I think they had 14, right? And so when you miss tackles, you make things because the hashes make things already bad enough as they're wide, right? So they make things it's a space game in college football. And if you can't make a tackle in space, it just, I mean, that was it for that game for both sides. I figured LSU would score, go up and down the field, but I didn't figure Ole Miss would be able to continuously do that, and they kept doing it. And there's really nothing that LSU could do. And I think a big part of that was because Ole Miss could run the football. And yeah, in terms of neighbors, I heard the broadcast guy. He said Thomas actually. He said some people think Thomas actually has a higher ceiling than Neighbors, right? Because of his ability to track the football, to get down the field, all those things. But he don't fear. I don't have any. He doesn't scare me, bro. He doesn't scare me in terms of if I can get a corner, not a safety, because the safety was out there getting abused. The nickel corner was out there getting abused for Ole Miss. But if I have a corner that can stay with him, I think that'll be a battle. But Neighbors gets the ball in his hands, some scary stuff, bro, because he can make things happen just like Harris can for Ole Miss. But yeah, man, I wasn't expecting that game to end the way it did, but hey, man.
Yeah, football.
Some weird stuff going on in the SEC, man.
It is
strange stuff, certainly. Yep. I think your point regarding the receivers at LSU, obviously Brian Thomas Jr. has helped himself a lot as far as his draft stock, right? He's got, prototypical size, can get vertical, he tracks the ball well. There's things to like there, right? But there is some degrees of separation between him and Malik Neighbors. And I think, of course, having Neighbors on the field opens things up for Brian Thomas. He's taking full advantage of his opportunities. So you like that, right? He's improved from one year to the next. So all things to be encouraged, but definitely degrees of separation between those two players. Drew, you made a good point, really good point regarding, being able to tackle in space and that being the name of the game defensively. If you want to have a chance, is to be able to rally to the football and get ball carriers on the ground. And one of the things that has stood out to me, of course, going into this game, I knew Ole Miss wasn't going to play a whole lot of defense. That's not their calling card. But LSU's lack of physicality is disturbing. It's disturbing, right? And of course, one year to the next is different. No two seasons are the same, but typically you have, and they do. It's not as if they don't. They have NFL caliber individuals, but as a unit, they're not physical. They're not physical enough for my taste at the point of attack. And in the SEC, when you're dealing with that Southern Bible Belt speed, you're gonna have trouble if you're not physical. You're really gonna struggle defensively if you're not physical, and it's shown up time and time again in the early part of this season. So, and at this point, we're going into week 6. It's 5 games in for most teams. I'm not sure if LSU has played 5 or 6 or 4 games. I'm not sure exactly what the number is, but I've seen enough of them to know that they can be punched in the mouth. They can be punched in the mouth, and you can beat them horizontally. You can beat them vertically. You can beat them on the ground. I mean, they've been beat in really every facet of the game from my perspective. Now, of course, there may be certain individuals who feel differently, but this team certainly isn't playing like what you would anticipate an LSU defense to play like. So we'll see how they continue to progress. Of course, offensively, they look really good. And of course, Jay Daniels, as much as we like him, he can be a little streaky. He's hot right now. We'll see how long that lasts. We'll see how they fare when they start facing more physical units. So remains to be seen, but very, very entertaining matchup there between Ole Miss and LSU. Let's jump into, do you guys think Notre Dame and Duke is worth discussing? I know Riley Leonard goes down in that game. What do you think about that one, Headley?
Yeah, I think a lot of guys are popping up on the screen for Notre Dame. We know about Hartman, we know about Estime, Joe Alt, the tackle, Blake. We know about those guys, but this tight end Mitchell Evans, number 88, because it's Brock Bowers and it's the field. Mitchell Evans is part of that field with Jatavian Sanders from Texas as well. He's been showing up the last 2 games against Ohio State and now against Duke. Good hands, route running, yards after the catch ability. This is Notre Dame. They just produce tight ends. Michael Mayer just left, and now they have a guy that looks like Michael Mayer all over again. And you saw the ball skills on a one-handed catch. It was behind him. He tipped it to himself. It was like, that's an NFL caliber play right there. So I think Mitchell Evans is a name to watch, and Howard Cross III on the defensive side for Notre Dame. they're going to knock him a little bit because of his size. I think he's like 6 foot, 280. But twitch, the ability to use his hands to rip through blocks, work his way to the backfield. It's just he plays with really good pad level. He's 6 foot, so it's kind of a natural pad level. But his movement ability, that lower body flexibility that he has in the middle of the field, because he's playing over the center or the guard at that size, which is really impressive because he has such great balance also to get to the quarterback. That last play when he got to Riley Leonard, just the way he moved his hips and had his balance and got that play and kind of he hurt Riley Leonard on that play, I believe. So I think Howard crosses the guy. He just have a knack of shooting the gaps, getting skinny, working well through contact, gets a good jump from the snap. So as this process starts to play out, they're going to probably knock him a little bit soon, especially with the combine, the size and everything. But it's a guy that, you kind of want on your football team. He gets the job done, even though he's only 6 foot, 280. So I think those two guys, but as far as the actual game, it kind of played out opposite of last week for Notre Dame. Notre Dame lost it on that last play. This week, they had the ball and Hartman used his legs. It was a critical third and 16 play.
Yeah. Yep.
No, it was it was a third and 16. They blitzed him. He almost threw the pick, and then it was a 4th and 16, and then they rushed 3, and he ran for 17 yards. So it's like, you're playing not to win the game. I hate when teams do that. And Duke was rushing 3 back, attack the quarterback. You almost made the game-winning play on 3rd and 16. So let's just drop 8 in coverage, left a lane for Hartman to run, get the first down, and then right after that, estimate game-winning touchdown. So I thought that's where Duke lost the football game. But yeah, a lot of prospects. Howard Cross the third, and Mitchell Evans is looking good for Notre Dame right now.
What is with these teams that can't seem to execute a 3-man rush and drop 8 in coverage, man? Nobody seems to be able to do this effectively. Like, we just gotta throw it out, get rid of it, rip it out of the playbook because nobody seems. I'm watching. So you mentioned 4th and long, right? The quarterback, who isn't known as a runner, goes and picks up the first down because of what? You don't have anybody with eyes on the quarterback, even though you have 8 in coverage, right?
Yeah.
You go back to the beginning of the season when LSU was trying to spy Jordan Travis in their matchup against FSU, and Keon Coleman is getting behind your 8 in coverage. I don't understand what's happening defensively when teams decide to drop 8 into coverage. I get it. It's not necessarily designed to get to the quarterback. The idea is to be able to cover up the 5 or so receivers that may be in a pass pattern. But to give up big plays and large gains on the ground under those circumstances, it's just not adding up. So I'm a little confused. Somebody help me out with that. Drew, your thoughts on the Notre Dame and Duke contest?
Before I get there real quick, I was going to bring this up at some point, but since we're talking about it, watching that Colorado USC game, they did the same thing. Colorado did the same thing. 3-down linemen, and USC needed forever, and they got forever. You know what I'm saying? Because Caleb just was running around back there and made a play. He was back there for days, and I don't understand it. I don't get it. For quarterbacks that necessarily can't run, I can understand it. But for quarterbacks that can actually move in the pocket, move well in the pocket, and that's routinely what they do, I don't. That doesn't make sense to me. And then not to have a spy is probably the most egregious part of that, right? Because at some point that guy's got to come down and blitz or whatever to force the quarterback to make a move much sooner than he wants to. So, but yeah, it's hey man, you play that prevent, gonna prevent you from winning, as we say, right? So. Yeah. A couple of the players that let's say Headley left off, but a couple of guys I want to mention is Dwayne Carter, number 90 for Duke, and Jamion Franklin. I probably butchered his name. Number 5. I thought in general, specifically on both sides of the ball, I thought the middle of each
defensive
line. I thought they had good games. I thought that they pressured both quarterbacks. I thought that they made those guys move off their spot, especially you call him Vanilla Vic, Riley over there. I thought there was a lot of pressure coming from the center, just force them to make, to again be off his spot or just make decisions much sooner than he wanted to. And I thought that happened for Hartman as well. I thought those two guys were doing some work because you weren't getting around Fisher, you weren't getting around Alt. Although I think they both got beat once in the game, but hey, can't win them all. But for the most part, I thought the center of both defensive linemen was doing some big time work, and Dwayne Carter and Jamion Franklin were a big part of that.
All right. Before we turn the page on week 5, let's discuss the studs from week 5, the standout performances from draft eligible prospects from week 5. And right at the top is the man, the myth, the legend, one Caleb Williams. Drew, you alluded to the contest against Colorado. We know Colorado was shorthanded. Plus, of course, they don't really have a great defense. They're certainly lacking in that particular department. And Mr. Williams took full advantage of this one. Of course, USC's defense, Shedeur Sanders and company, Marion Miller, very young player that really was impressive. He's certainly not draft eligible just yet, but very impressive. Made a furious comeback. They really showed up in the second half, and got to give Shedeur some love because no quarterback has played at a higher level than Shedeur Sanders in the fourth quarter. So that just goes to what we talk about as far as the nervous system and having that ice water in your veins and playing his best in the most critical moments. But certainly Caleb Williams, the class of a very, very talented and deep class of quarterbacks. He goes 30 for 40, 403 yards, 6 TDs, and an INT. That INT happened to be the first of the season. I mean, what can you say about Caleb Williams, Drew?
I mean, the dude's outstanding. He's the number one quarterback, period. To me, I don't necessarily think it's close because of the talent that he has. He can throw the football from any platform. I've seen a bunch of sidearms coming off his hands, being able to get the football out when hands are around and up. His ability to extend plays, his ability to kind of put the ball where he wants it, no matter where he's running to and where he's going, right? I think he has the entire package that you want from the quarterback position. Obviously for us, over here at CPGM, we want him to maybe dial it back at sometimes. Everything doesn't have to be a home run ball. You know what I'm saying? Let's work within the confines of the offense. But I think it's sometimes when you're playing, those games where, okay, this team's starting to come back. We need to press them. We got to continue this. We got to continue to push the ball down the field. Kind of that fast break offense in terms of basketball. I think that's where he wants to live. But it doesn't always need to be that way. At a certain point in that game, they should have just started running the football. I mean, hell, they got a running back that we were talking about last week that they could just give the ball to, right? So I think that might be more of not necessarily on Caleb, a little bit more on the play calling. But hey, you run the plays that are called, and that pick. I mean, it was just unnecessary. It was a good play by the corner, but it was unnecessary. And the broadcast said he got greedy. That's exactly what happened. And so he's got that little bit in him. He's got to kind of pull that out of him. But I think we talked about this last week, Headley, in terms of that's kind of a double-edged sword with him. It's a part of who he is and what he is, right? It's just part of those good plays that he makes, but it's at sometimes. Some of them plays gonna turn into interceptions, gonna turn into bad plays. So you just got to live with it because he's gonna make far more good plays than bad plays. I mean, we're talking about a 21-to-1 ratio in terms of touchdowns to interceptions. So he's fantastic, man.
Yeah, he's not turning over the football. Sometimes when you see guys like that, always trying to do sandlot, they'll throw more picks, but he'll lose 10 yards and get 20 yards back on the next play. It's all good. But this game, I thought he did dial it back a little bit, Drew. He worked from in the pocket a lot better. It was kind of easy. Guys were running wide open. But, he's playing that point guard that we kind of want to see from Caleb. He got weapons. He's spreading the ball around. Taj Washington, Brendan Rice, Mario Williams, Dorian Singer. He was kind of hitting all those guys. So I thought he did dial it back, and he operated from the pocket, kind of what we wanted to see. And like you said, he dominated this game. 6 touchdowns, his first interception. Like you said, man, he's the class of the position. Number 1 pick. It just depends now on if he comes out, and if he does come out, what team will be there for number 1 to get him.
The kid thinks it's going to be his Giants. He says, unfortunately.
I don't know that Caleb is the type of player that can go to anywhere and just he's going to despite the flaws that a team has. I think he can work through those flaws and get you through it, man. I think he's that type.
No. I think Caleb Williams lands with Brian Dable. I think obviously they have to work on their offensive line, right?
Right.
But certainly, I think that pairing of quarterback and coach would go a long way, assuming it goes in that particular direction. Of course, prior to the Thursday night game, the Bears had the first 2 picks of the draft, right? I'm a Justin Fields guy. He's been playing better, so hopefully the Bears can continue to build on what they have going on. But as you mentioned, Caleb Williams is special, and he's going to obviously. He has the ability to raise the level of the players around him. That's really what separates great quarterbacks, right? You have good guys who can thrive with the requisite weapons. Certainly, you want to put as much weaponry around him and build the roster around him, but he does have the ability to make guys around him better. So, I think the Giants would be happy with it, and I'm not so certain Caleb wouldn't be happy with it. Obviously, he's in Hollywood, unless he's tethered to the West Coast. He's from DC. You know what I'm saying? That brings him a little closer to home. You know what I mean? So we'll see. We'll see ultimately where the landing spot is. One thing I do want to mention regarding Caleb Williams is that he's playing better than he did last year. He won a Heisman, right? What was it? 40 TDs, 5 touchdowns. He wins the Heisman. He's playing better. Through his first 5 games last year, he had a 12-1 TD INT ratio. Drew, you just mentioned it. It's 21-1 now, right? He's thrown 9 more TDs in the same span of games. Like, I think we nitpick. We nitpick. He's so good. He's so talented that you expect to see perfection from him, right? And it's almost unfair. It's almost unfair. I mean, he's a junior. It's not even as if he's like a 5-year starter or whatever the case may be, right? So I think you have to be cognizant of that. You have to be cognizant of the fact that, while he is terrific, he is phenomenal, there will be certain things that he has to learn. And I think he does a good job of responding to and not making the same mistake more than once. The other thing about, the going for the home run, right? You know what I'm saying? Trying to push the ball down the field, because he's averaging almost, it's over 2 full yards more per attempt, right? Per pass attempt. So he's obviously pushing the football down the field. There is a certain level of trepidation regarding the defense for USC. It's better than it was last year, but it's still problematic. So you kind of get into that mode of, well, we got to score, man. We got to score. I got to score. Every time I go out, it's not about, okay, let me check it down and punt, play a little field position here or there, whatever the case may be. Now, certainly, you need to make sure that he's wired to understand that at the next level. But considering what the aspirations are for USC, despite the fact that they're not playing great defensively, I can understand why he may push the envelope from time to time. But with all that said, he's still protecting the football.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Despite that, he's still protecting the football and playing better than he did during his Heisman campaign. So excellent stuff from Caleb Williams. I hear you, B-Kit, man. Colorado, and obviously Colorado got off to a slow start, but these Pac-12 quarterbacks, they don't do a whole lot of punting. Nope. They really don't do a whole lot of punting. So it's going to be a track meet. We've talked about it previously. The Pac-12 is going out with a bang. Of course, the conference appears to be dissolving, but certainly they're giving us one for the ages here this season. All right, let's transition to Ray Davis, running back from Kentucky, who ran a mud hole up into Drew's Gators. And Drew, I'm coming straight to you on this one, man. What happened? What happened?
Yeah, bro. I watched a lot of this game, and it wasn't one of those. Wasn't one of those. It was a surprise, bro. It was from the first snap. He was running cats over, bro. He was finding people, and he was eviscerating linebackers, cornerbacks, safeties, defensive linemen. There was some gaping holes, and there was some times where he was able to kind of hide behind an offensive lineman just long enough, patient enough, and then burst out, right? He's got some speed. He's got some power. He looks like he might be the total package. Now, I haven't watched a bunch of Kentucky football, obviously, but I wasn't expecting anything like this. I mean, and even after halftime, after the Gators kind of made a move to kind of, okay, we settled down. We got to score. Okay, Kentucky, coming out the half, got the ball, and it was just rinse and repeat. Man, and I don't know how many times they ran the same play, but back in Little League football, coach used to say, "Hey, yo, we're coming out of this halftime. We're gonna run this play, and we're gonna run it till they can stop it." And it felt like that watching the Gators. They were just helpless. They couldn't stop this one guy. And Devin Leary wasn't playing good over there either. He was inaccurate as all get out. And Ray Davis was the show. I think we had over 200, almost 300 yards by the end of the game. It was embarrassing. And got to start keeping a watch on this guy, because if he continues to do this, man, I mean, you're talking about, being one of the top running backs coming out in this draft. But he was nasty and disgusting, man. And let me say this about the Gators, bro. Ain't no dogs over there. Them boys, when they away from home, they look weak, man. They look soft, marshmallow.
They don't have the mystique outside the swamp.
No, outside of the swamp, it's an entirely different team, bro. Just disgusting from the offense to the defense, bro. And by the way, Billy Napier, you built to run the football. We said this week 1, and you still out here trying to throw it like y'all running the spread offense, bro. 2 stud running backs in the backfield, and you won't hand them off the football. It's unacceptable, man.
Graham Merz, man. That's supposed to be the guy.
Nah, stop, bro. Stop.
That ain't the guy?
No.
Yeah, man. Ray Davis, your quarterback go 9 for 19, 69 yards. You think you losing the game, man? You threw for 69 yards.
It's a
you're
blowout,
50% completion percentage.
Blowout.
But no, Kentucky blew Florida out because this guy, all day Ray Davis, man. He was, like Drew said, it was all day. He's very patient. He kind of gives his line time to work. And he kind of slithers through the hole. He has that ability to kind of start again with no wasted movements. And then plus acceleration. It's kind of like he rocks you to sleep a little bit, and then he kind of blows by you, man. And he did it time after time. His feet never stop moving. Has that power through contact, always finishing his runs. And he usually make the first guy miss. We're like a broken record right now about making the first guy miss, because that's the most important trait for a running back. And if you have that, you could succeed at the next level, making the first guy miss. So, big game for Ray Davis. This is kind of my first exposure to him, but, my eyes are glued on him now because, like you said, kind of has a complete total package and patient. You got that vision. We talk about that vision, man, that vision and that vision put together. So, yeah, he got it, man. Ray Davis.
Now, Ray is all business too. They talked about Ray Davis in his career day, and he said, and it was not just a career day for him personally, but for Kentucky running backs in the rushing game. And he said, the offensive line set the record. You know what I'm saying? So he's all business. He's a 5th-year senior. Started his career at Temple. He actually nearly ran for 1,000 yards in a freshman season. I think he may have been banged up. He transferred for Vandy. Actually ran for 1,000 yards last year at Vandy. Of course, Vandy wasn't very good, but quietly ran for 1,000 yards. He can make plays out of the backfield in the passing game. That's one of the things that I think will go a long way. I'm with you, Headley. I'm going to be watching him close. I think if he has a pass pro, he can find his way into an NFL roster. You know what I mean? Because clearly he has what's necessary to make guys miss. He demonstrated some long speed as well, and I think what he does in the pass game is pretty good. He already has 3 receiving touchdowns this season, and he's certainly done that throughout his career. So going to be looking forward to more Ray Davis. And like I said, 5th-year senior, very experienced player, very mature player. He's buttoned up. You know what I'm saying? And I think when you think about how running backs are being used at the next level, a lot of these guys don't really see a significant second contract. This is a guy that you can put on your team, and obviously there's a lot of attrition at the position. Yep. If he's buttoned up like he appears to be, he can carve out a nice little role for himself. So we'll be watching Ray Davis more closely. I love Weed. Let me address your question from earlier. All right, you mentioned that you were behind in the stream. That's okay. Is Caleb the next Patrick Mahomes? Now we've had this conversation previously. It's understandable why people make the comparison, right? In terms of what they do outside of structure, the ability to throw the ball from different angles, can make all the throws, velocity, accuracy, the whole nine. I maintain that Caleb Williams is a better prospect than Patrick Mahomes. What Patrick Mahomes has obviously developed into is phenomenal. But coming out of college, for me, it's easy. for me, it's easy. The revisionist history, the 2020 suggests Patrick Mahomes, but otherwise, Caleb.
You good?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He did
I had an audio
I thought
issue.
I was Mr. McConnell right there. You just froze on me, bro.
No. I something came on. The audio just came on my computer. I wasn't sure if it was making its way through the feed, so I had to silence it. So that's the reason for the pause. But again, to just finalize my point, I don't have a whole lot else to add. I think when you talk about expectations, level of competition, we're talking about the Big 12 when they weren't playing any defense. Just in terms of prospect, I'm not suggesting that Caleb Williams is going to have a better NFL career than Patrick Mahomes. I think Mahomes is a little bit taller. I think he's a little bit taller, maybe about 10 pounds heavier as well. But skill set, very similar skill set. I actually think Caleb Williams is a better open field runner. I think Caleb Williams has done a better job of protecting the football. But of course, the landing spot matters, even with guys as talented as Patrick Mahomes and Caleb Williams. And Mahomes landed in literally the best position a quarterback can land in with Andy Reid. You know what I'm saying? And of course, he had Eric Bieniemy at the time. So, I completely understand why people make the comparison. But if you're asking me, Caleb Williams is a better prospect coming out. All right. Where was D-Kid going with this? Oh, I see what you're saying, D-Kid. Comp Breece Hall. What you guys think of the comp, Breece Hall or Ray Davis?
No, I wouldn't say that. I
wouldn't go there either.
I think there's more violence with Ray Davis right now, and I want to see a little bit more Ray Davis, but I don't. Nah.
No, you're not ready to go there.
Nah, not yet.
Fair enough. Let's talk about a very interesting prospect that we stumbled across here. Kadarius Callaway out of Old Dominion. Okay. And you can see his 2023 season stats right there. Over the course of 5 weeks, that may not necessarily be, a big counting number as far as the rushing yards, but you can see the average, right? That's astronomical. And of course, in week 5, he had 11 carries for 236 yards, which is a 21.5 yard per carry average, and 3 touchdowns. So studs of the week is 1 week performance, not necessarily the entirety of the season or their career, what have you, but really, really impressive stuff from Kadarius Callaway. The juice certainly is there. Drew, you dug into this prospect a little bit more. What'd you find out?
Yeah, Kadarius Callaway. First of all, he got 2 names that are former Florida players. Yeah, Kadarius Toney and Callaway. I just want to put that out there. I just had to say that. But
you're right, he was.
What did he say? Yeah, he was. He actually went to Bama in 2020, the summer of 2021. But he realized, hey, you know what? This is a little too big for me. I need to go in a different direction. So he headed over to East Mississippi Community College. I think people were wondering if it was a grade thing. No, he just realized, hey, listen, got some self-awareness. I can't, as an 18-year-old, I see what this is and I'm not ready for it. So I'm going to make the best decision for me, which is to not play at a big time program. Right. And so he goes there and then he ends up going to Old Dominion. And obviously we see, he had a hell of a performance. He had a 70-yard run, a 69-yard, and a 75-yard run. Muscular, powerful, 6'2", 217. Big boy. So keep your eye on him. Keep your eye on him. Continue this season because anytime that I hear of a player that's playing for a smaller school, but maybe was recruited by a bigger school or actually went to said school, maybe just didn't get any run or any play and end up on a different team. It always piques my interest because I'm like, okay, well, he should dominate if he was at that particular program, right? When he goes to the smaller program, he should dominate. And 11 carries for 200 and change, as far as I'm concerned, is domination. So let's stay the course.
It certainly does smack of domination when you're averaging over 20 yards per carry.
They said 214 yards came on 3 carries. He got 214 on 3 carries. And I'm watching him on Twitter right now, and I don't know what happened to the middle of the defense, that Marshall defense. There was nobody there. Where's the safeties? Where's the linebackers? This guy was, yeah, man, it's pretty ridiculous, man.
Oh man, so we will. This appears to be an outlier. It does appear to be an outlier, but certainly highly touted prospect coming out of high school.
Right.
We'll keep an eye on it. Obviously, teams are always looking for guys who can tote the pill. Again, with the landscape of the running back position, you know what I'm saying? They don't really care where you play or whatever the case may be. If you got the goods, you know what I'm saying? You can protect, catch the football, protect the football, then you know, you might be able to find yourself a home. It looks like we got a decent crowd tonight. Do me a favor, for those of you watching the stream, you know, patrons of the Second Half Draft Show, hit that like button. Just take a moment. Take a moment to hit the like button. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. All right. Let's move on to Torrey Horton, receiver from Colorado State. And I think, you know, in the scouting community, Torrey Horton isn't a new name, but he's having his best season. He's off to a great start. And this past week, he went for 10 grabs, 227 yards, and 3 touchdowns. You know, the game that I think most people, or perhaps their first introduction exposure to Torrey Horton was the very highly entertaining Colorado State game. A lot of catches around in the scrimmage. You know, not a whole lot of depth on his targets, and you actually see a lot of volatility year to year throughout his college career. You got, you know, 1 year, you know what I'm saying, he's under 10 yards a catch. The next year, he's flirting with 16, 17. So really, really impressive week from Torrey Horton. Helly, what are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I'm looking at his stat line right now. It looked like he's improved every single season. First year in Nevada, 20 for 336, 5 TDs. Next year, 52, 659, 5 TDs. Last year, transfer to Colorado State, 71, 1,131 yards, 8 TDs. And right now, he's at 45 catches, 540, and 6 TDs. So it looked like his stat line is going to improve every single season. And those are the kind of guys that you look for, the guys that get better throughout their college career. Because you got guys that they come out balling and they kind of plateau, fall off a little bit. But we want to see the guys that's steadily improving. Like you said, that Colorado game, a lot of drag routes in that game, a lot of drag routes across the middle, getting them in that one-on-one situation against man. But, you know, when you dig into the tape a little more, you see that he has exceptional ball tracking ability. You know, it's a guy back in the days, not comparing the guy, but remember when we back in outside in the backyard when you got to moss people, you know what I'm saying? This guy make mossing look easy. You know, he mosses guys on tape time after time, especially 2022. Saw a lot of that on tape. He has the ability to stack defenders, make those over-the-shoulder catches or those late hands. When you stack defenders, you want to have those late hands because, you know, the corners, they like to play your hands. So if your hands are late, you can get that ball in there. He made a statement in that Colorado game, like we said earlier. Nice, strong hands, concentration to bring in passes. And they like to use him in the slot. They used him in the slot a lot in this last game. They kind of create those mismatches in the open field. And I'm not sure how fast he is, but he's a long strider, kind of like Randy Moss as well, where he's just striding those long legs. And once he gets in that open field, you know, he could take a 6.
Yeah. When you talk about, you know, anybody going up against Colorado in that defense and lighting them up, you kind of think, okay, is this actually an accomplishment, right? Because them boys get lit up every week. And I remember, I don't know if I read it. I'm pretty sure I read it on Twitter or I heard it. Jim Nagy said, anytime, and if you don't know who that is the director of the Senior Bowl. It's the guy who's the head honcho in charge. And he said, anytime I had my scouts go out to look at guys and scout guys, if they played Colorado, we just ignored the game, right? And that was when they were the bad Colorado. But the defense is better, but it's not a whole lot better, right? And, you know, obviously, like Drew said, that was his coming out party or his exposure to the uninitiated, I guess you could say, in terms of everyone else, in terms of, who he is and what he's about. And Headley kind of broke it down in terms of what he is and who he is and how he's used. And the idea is to just continue to see the progression and just, how does he look versus specific competition, right? And I know Colorado State is going to play some beasts this year. And so when he goes up against those beasts, what does that look like, right? As long as he's progressing, then, I don't know about being wide receiver 2, as D-Kit said. I don't think that's – I don't know about that.
D-Kit said he is a receiver 2.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh, he is.
Yeah.
He is.
Yep.
No. It says he is receiver 2.
D-Kit.
Yeah.
Oh. You gotta clarify, D-Kid. I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. You gotta clarify.
Nah. He left that article out of there. That's A is an article, right? I think. I think I got it right. But yeah, Horde, I like him in the short to intermediate game, but he has that ability to get downfield and, like you said, track the football and moss folks. So I think he can win at all levels of the defense. So what you saying? Oh, that's
receiver 2.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying. He's
stand on it.
Okay.
He's impressive. Stand on it. He's very impressive. What stands out to me, and Headley, with D-Kit's note here, you guys, I mean, the notes that you have on Horton, they were almost verbatim here. It was interesting. His hands, the fly paper hands, man.
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
Yep.
I'm telling you. But you mentioned him being able to moss folks. Right here, the last sentence here from D-Kit said he had mad vertical too. You know what I'm saying?
Ex-basketball player.
Has his own sources out there who are on Horton. So yeah, he's certainly no stranger to the scouting community. And I think the fans at large are starting to figure out that there's a really talented receiver there in Colorado State. And he's playing with a very young quarterback too. That's another aspect of this. He's continuing to get better and he's playing with a very young quarterback. So very, very impressive prospect. I hope we get a chance to see him in Mobile. I really, really hope we get a chance to see him in Mobile. His draft stock obviously is trending in the right direction, but he goes down there and has a quality week in Mobile. All bets are off at that point. All bets are off at that point. So, very impressive stuff from Tory Horton last season and even more so this year. All right, our last stud of the week is Cooper. Right, cornerback, safety.
Dijon.
I assume he's playing safety at the next level. Certainly excels when he can keep his eyes on the quarterback. Had about 6 tackles, 4 of them solo, an INT in the red zone. Excellent play, never bit on that double move, and then he takes back a punt too. So all around quality football player here. We've talked about him during summer scouting. Your thoughts on him, Hadley? Have you grown more fond of Cooper? Where does he kind of stack up for you among the safeties in the class? Very, very talented safety class, by the way.
That's the conundrum. Is he a safety? Is he a slot corner? Because he kind of plays all over the football field. You say, did I grow more fond of him? I liked him from the very first time I saw him, man. That click and close ability, it's special, man. He closes very quickly, plays a lot of off-man coverage. That's kind of where he belongs. You don't want to see him pressing in no man-to-man. So safety is a good position for him. Slot corner, because he brings a competitive, feisty demeanor on every play. And once the ball in his hands, he's a returner. I think he played basketball. I think he was a track star. So he's versatile, man. He could do a lot of things for your football team. And right now, if he's a safety, it's a lot of good safeties, man. He gotta be in the top 5, man, because of what he does on the football field. As a slot corner, though, he might be.
The versatility, yeah.
As a slot corner, he's probably top 5 in that also. So he could be a top 5 safety and a top 5 corner. And like you said, the versatility, that's where he is. And he's just so quick, so instinctive to the football, man. He'll jump that route, pick the ball off, go 6 the other way. He's a turnover, man, waiting to happen. And like I said earlier, he's also helping the special teams game as well. So a lot of versatility all across the board for him, man. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a first-round pick.
It'd be interesting to see what he looks like from the safety position, because everything is obviously either at the nickel position or it's on the outside. That left corner is kind of where he's made his home. Like Headley said, in terms of him playing man press coverage, I don't think any of us want to see that, because usually if he's doing that, he's usually turning and running at the snap and kind of following the guy, shadowing the guy, living in the hip pocket versus trying to be physical at the snap. I don't think that's necessarily his game. I mean, you said his size. He's 6'1", 207. He's fine. I think he's fine. And I think he plays bigger than his size, to be honest with you, the way he plays and attacks the football when it's in the air. And like Hetty said, he's feisty and he's willing to come downhill. Even if it's 2 or 3 guys coming his way, he's willing to stick his head in there and try to make a play. Yeah, I think he's a good tackler.
Yeah, he can tackle.
Yeah, he's a good tackler. But
yeah, he's a very well-rounded player.
Yeah,
very, very well-rounded player. And as you mentioned, Helly, the instinctiveness is there. He's not just not just intelligent, but there's some natural football instinctiveness there as well.
Yep.
You know, and you mentioned, he was a very impressive athlete in a number of different sports. He's a good athlete. There's no question about it. You know what I'm saying? Like he can do it all. He can do it all. To your point regarding him, being a boundary corner, I think it depends on the system. I really do think it depends on the system. I think, as you've mentioned, as a lot of analysts have mentioned, safety probably is the best home for him because it allows him to keep his eyes on the quarterback. You can drop him and you can stay in a base because you can drop him down to cover your slot, right? But the fact that he's typically in an off man coverage or playing the deep third, that allows him to keep his head in on the quarterback and understand, see what's going on. His ability to kind of marry that up in terms of what the receiver is doing is impressive. But I need my corners to go up there and uppercut somebody in man too. You know what I mean? And you just don't see that from him. So that's why I think ultimately safety makes the most sense. I know D-Kid. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, they're moving him to safety because he is white, bro. That's
no. The stereotyps don't apply to Cooper. The stereotypes don't apply to him at all.
They don't. They really
don't. It's kind of like an Iowa special now. It's like an Iowa special. Riley Moss last season.
Riley Moss.
Cooper DeJohn this
Riley
season.
Moss. You feel me? All right. That's it for our studs of the week. Caleb Williams, Ray Davis, Kadarius Callaway, Torrey Horton. That's receiver 2 according to D-Kid. And Cooper DeJean. All right. Let's talk about the guys that have helped themselves the most in your eyes. And of course, we could talk about 50 players. So we're gonna do a fewer than 50. We're gonna do maybe 20ish, 18 to 20 players here. But certainly, what we typically do on the second half draft show after we talk about the studs of the week, we talk about some other players who may not necessarily have had amazing weeks, but continue to bolster their NFL draft stock. And we're really going to take a step back here. We're 5 weeks in some instances, 6 weeks for teams who played week 0. We've seen a good helping of football, right, to this point. So we want to talk about the guys from week 0 to now that have helped themselves the most as it relates to their corresponding NFL draft stock. So let's get into it. And right at the top is
bro. I know you, bro. Really?
Top.
That's what we doing, bro.
Top of the pyramid. You see it?
Listen, it just worked out that way. I didn't mean for it to happen. It just worked out that way because,
bro. Listen. You're a closet FSU fan. What is going on, bro?
Stop it.
Y'all, you just know ain't no Miami got to put up there, so you had to put Florida State. Drinks water.
Listen, y'all already got this man as receiver 2 in y'all mock draft. I'm like, what?
Who?
Y'all did?
Nah, receiver 2.
But you did. Check the tape. Marvin Harrison did it. Then y'all went with Keon Coleman. I'm like,
must have been the fit.
Bruh. y'all drafted him over Rome and Malik Neighbors. I'm not with it.
We talked through it though.
But you cannot deny how much he's helped himself. You cannot deny
Great.
that. He has the NFL body, his ability to play above the rim. Again, I question the consistent separation aspect, but he turns those 50-50 balls into a 70-30, 80-20. So Keon Coleman's impressive. He's gotten good quarterback play, and you can see it playing out. Of course, he got blanked in that game at Boston College. Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? But I think the skill set is going to be coveted at the next level. So he certainly has helped himself a lot. And we actually did a poll on the community tab on YouTube. That's Couch Potato General Manager YouTube channel. Check it out. Subscribe, like, do all of that. And we asked the community who's receiver 2, and the community 39% of the community went with Keon Coleman.
They see him more often. That's what it is. They see him.
Yeah.
It must be. It must be the exposure. It must be the exposure. So I understand it from that perspective, but certainly, he has helped himself a lot. I think both of you are higher on Keon Coleman. For the record, both of you are higher on him than I am. I want to make that perfectly clear. It's all about this over here. I don't care what's going on. It's about this over here. You feel me? All right. I don't want to hear nothing about no closet, nothing. You feel me?
Taking it personal. You taking it personal.
Yeah, man.
You gonna move him out your top 5 receivers now, man?
I might have to. I might have to ding him. All right. Next up is another very impressive receiver. There's quite a few receivers who have helped themselves significantly, this year. Xavier Leggett, man. He's been phenomenal. He's been phenomenal. Your thoughts on Leggett, Headley?
Yeah, I think he's actually probably a bigger draft riser than Keon Coleman.
Yeah.
People knew Keon Coleman in Michigan State, the talent that he possessed. He just didn't get to display it over there. Well, Leggett, no one saw this before this season, man. He was over there 4 years in South Carolina, and already this season has better numbers in his fifth year senior. I've been working with Deebo Samuel, and that first game, when you watched it, man, it was just like, who is this guy? Like, this guy is 6'3", 217, wearing number 17, looking like Alshon. Big body receiver. After the catch, running 22 miles per hour.
He got juice.
Jeffrey don't got juice like this guy.
You don't have juice like that. Exactly.
Yeah, man. So if he continues to progress and the sky's the limit, we're talking about wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3, he could be in that running over Keon Coleman. Malik and Rome, they got a special place in my heart. But after those two guys, man, it could be Leggett, could be Keon Coleman. But both of those guys are big draft risers. But Leggett, to me, is the biggest draft riser, probably out of any player on this list.
Yeah, when you talk about Deebo Samuels and Leggett, every time you see Deebo touch the football, you kind of hold your breath because you're scared. Like, okay, what's going to happen?
Are they going to be able to get him on the ground?
Yes.
That's the question. Yes. That goes through your mind. Are they going to actually be able to get him on the ground?
So then, excuse me, if I can find somebody that's similar or that's like to him, that looms big, right? And so, yes. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? So if I get a guy who's bigger and just as fast, if not faster, and Leggett, why not? You know what I'm saying? So, the prototype is out there, right? So let's go and get that guy, and that's why he may be for some wide receiver 2, man. Because all you have to do is get him the football, and it doesn't have to be one of these screen bubble passes. You can throw it up. He'll go up and snatch it out of the air, and then hold your breath.
Hold your breath. Absolutely. Brian Thomas, we talked about him a little bit earlier as we were recapping the Ole Miss LSU matchup. Certainly has helped himself a lot. Won't belabor that point. Of course, we've talked about Shedeur Sanders effectively every week of the season during the second half draft show. There's no surprise now. I think everybody understands that Shedeur has the goods, right? Mm-hmm. It's really about where do you slot him. I don't expect Shedeur to actually come out. I know that might hurt you, Headley, as a Falcons fan. That may not necessarily jive with what you have in mind for the young man, but I'm not certain that he's going to come out this season. That being said, if he does, I think he certainly has the ability to and at this point has already played his way into the first round. It would not shock me in the slightest if Shedeur goes in the first round. Obviously, you have the 5th-year option to work with a quarterback there as well. It's what he does fourth quarter for me. Highest rated quarterback in FBS in the fourth quarter, right? You know that the offensive line has some issues. Certainly, he can do a better job of getting the ball out sooner. He has a tendency to hold on to the ball. But when he's dialed in, man, when it's crunch time and you got to have it, Shedeur just delivers, man. Strike after strike after strike after getting punched in the mouth, helmet up under the chin. He picks himself up and he just goes back and delivers. That unflappable nature. And I imagine it has a certain level to do with, the way he was raised, the environment that he was raised in. You know what I'm saying? He's built for it. He's built for it. So, but I think that is such an important quality among quarterbacks that You never get too high, you never get too low, right? As far as your play is concerned. That doesn't mean you don't show emotion, but as far as your play is concerned, even when things aren't going well, you're that steady hand. Everybody's looking to you. You're the man in the huddle. Everybody's looking to you, and they go as you go, right? And like I said, highest rated quarterback, that includes Caleb Williams in the fourth quarter. So really impressive stuff from him, and obviously he's a huge draft board riser. Is there anything you guys want to add to the Shedeur Sanders conversation?
No, we talk about him every week.
We do.
Can't help.
I mean, it's hard not to. It really is hard not to. Audric Estime, running back from Notre Dame. Drew, your thoughts on his performance this year and how much has he helped himself?
Yeah, man, he's a big bruiser of a running back. I think he's actually, to me, he's the best running back they have. I think they have a committee of 3 guys. He carries 50% of the carries. I think they were trying to figure it out early on, but he's kind of taking it on, and he's the got to make sure I say it right. He's the thunder in terms of that backfield, in terms of what he can do with the football in his hands, and he's a guy who, if you're not bringing hats to the party, if it's one guy, you're not going to bring him down, man. As soon as he starts going, it's pretty much a wrap. You're going to need 2 or 3 guys to bring him to the ground. He's a guy who's going to lean forward. I think he has very good vision. I think he sees, that hole. He'll hit the hole. He understands what he is and who he is. He's not trying to do anything sexy. He's just trying to get downhill. He can make people miss, but for the most part, those legs keep turning. And if you're in the way, you're going to get hit. You're going to get hit hard. To me, the offense runs through him, bro, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I love how they move their offensive linemen, moving them and getting him, because he got really good vision and patience. So he'll wait for like an alt or somebody to come across him, and he can find that hole pretty easily. And like you said, he's big, strong, physical, and he has that burst. He doesn't have that long speed, but he has that burst. And, I'll take that over long speed at the running back position.
Yep.
Hadley, Patrick Paul is a huge riser, and as D-Kit mentioned, he's a huge man as well, 6'7", 320. The wingspan's crazy. Local guy. D-Kit hasn't pegged for day 2. You think he can work his way into day 1?
Day 1, end of day 1, I can see end of day 1 if he keeps on progressing the way he has, because he's a big draft riser. Why we got him on the list, because he looks the part. Teams are going to like him. As soon as he walks in, he's big, he's long. That wingspan, it's ridiculous. I'm not sure what he's going to measure when the combine comes. Yeah, pterodactyl. And that's what teams will cover. And he has some athleticism to move also. So a team's going to say, hey, we could mold him up. We could fix, he gets a little high sometimes. Takes away some of his power when he gets high. Hands can get a little wide. You got to watch for those holding penalties. And DK said he's a nasty guy. I want to see even more nasty from him, man, because when you're that big, that strong, that physical, I just want to see him get a little more nasty. But big time draft mover. I like how he moves in those pass sets. He gets off the ball quickly, gets into his shuffle, get his hands on the defender. You kind of have to beat him with quickness on the inside. And then as a run blocker, he moves really well, but I want to see him do a better job of locating guys. Because you could get out there, but if you can't locate guys are going to slip you, get to the ball carrier. So I just want to see him do a little bit better locating. But prototypes, the traits, he has it all. Just got to, coach him up a little bit, a little rough around the edges. But once he fixed that up and that technique, once he adjusts that technique, I could see him in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, are we talking about, who was it that drafted him? Was it Cleveland? Is it Dawan Jones who drafted Dawan Jones? I forgot.
Yeah,
it's Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland.
Yeah. I mean, when you talk about that, and that this is what happens with players who you're necessarily not sure about, or they do skyrocket up. It's because of a player the year before, or maybe 2 years before, who has the same kind of build and the same kind of movement ability and all those things. You say he could be that guy, right? And I would say Patrick Paul, in terms of his size and his athletic ability, I think he kind of fits that. But I think he does lack the nasty. I know DK said he's nasty. I haven't seen it.
Same thing I saw, Drew.
Yeah. It's he plays high, so sometimes, like you said, the hands, like he's got some things to work on in terms of putting it all together. Because when he puts it all together, it's going to be a wrap. right? And I love him in pass sets, because I'm looking at him like, this dude's kind of big, he's kind of wide, because I don't usually look at size or anything. I like to watch the player. And then as I'm watching him, I'll go and I'm off by 50 pounds and an inch. My bad. Hey, it is what it is. He got to eat a little bit more.
Day one was different, man.
Yeah, day one was.
Day one. I mean, Patrick Paul is a very large man. Day one is a behemoth.
He's lean though. Patrick Paul is lean.
He's leaner. He's leaner.
315.
Yeah. But he's got to just put it together, man. He's got to get them hands inside. He's got to be able to. He's 6'7", so anytime you see a guy probably over about 6, I'd say anything over 6'5", it's possible they may have leverage issues because they just kind of pop up, right? The guys that are going against, they're just not going to be. They're going to be taller than everybody going against for the most part. So they got to get that leverage right. And his big problem in the run game is, and I think maybe part of the reason why he can't be nasty is because he gets high and he can't control the guy that's in front of him. Like you said, the hands are wide, but. In terms of his pass pro, I like him in pass pro. I think he's fantastic in pass pro, but he's got some work to do in terms of the run game, and just cleaning up the technique stuff. And the coaches don't look at him and be like, man, we can clean this up. We can clean that up. That's no problem. You know what I'm saying? So that's why he may go in the first round there.
He checks all the boxes from a traits perspective. You already see the flashes in terms of his pass pro, and that's really the name of the game.
Yep.
Right. So yeah, they'll be more than willing to work on the little areas that he needs to improve upon. DK, you giving up on Evan Neal already?
Dang, bro.
I mean, I don't think it's a good idea, man. You could have done that with Andrew Thomas too.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it. Yep.
You got to be patient. Now, I think with Evan Neal, he got to get his head screwed on right. I think that's part of it too. He's too concerned about what fans are saying or whatever the case may be.
Man.
But yeah, man, go ahead and disable that.
Right. Only gets you in trouble. Man.
Yeah, I'm not ready to give up on Evan Neal for sure. Rucker enters the list. Huge draft board riser. Of course, UNC has. I mean, I don't remember the last time North Carolina had so many quality NFL caliber defenders on one defensive unit. You got Rucker. Obviously, you got Cedric Gray on this board. Power Echols is like the highest graded linebacker. At least in the ACC, if not the whole FBS. Like, I mean, they got some guys. So your thoughts on Rucker here, Headley?
That South Carolina game, man. What is it? 5.5 tackle for losses, like 2 or 3 sacks. He came on the scene. It just, we talk about nasty, man. He possesses that speed to power, physical nature. It didn't matter what side he rushed from. He just blew things up. It's just speed and force. It's all gas with Kaven Rucker. And when you're trying to watch another guy like a Cedric Gray or Power Echols, your eyes goes back to Kaven Rucker, number 25, because he just comes physical, man, and it shows, man, every time you watch him.
It's a lot of disruption. It keeps the offensive linemen on their heels. They play some games up front with now that they're in this attacking style defense versus what they were doing before. So you're essentially unleashing all these guys to kind of play to their fullest potential. When you talk about Rucker, when you talk about Gray, you talk about Echols, you talk about a guy we talked about last week in is it Huzz? I'll make sure I say it right. Elijah Huzzy, the nickelback. Yeah. You've unleashed these guys, you've unlocked them, and so now you're seeing them at their fullest potential. I don't see Rucker ever slowing down. I think he's just going to continue to rise. I wonder what his ceiling would be, but we'll find out here shortly as they go through the ACC schedule.
Yeah, D-Kid, I don't necessarily disagree with you. He could have been a late entry. Hadley talked about him quite a bit in an earlier segment on the live here. Let's talk about my guy Chris Jenkins, man. Of course, Chris Jenkins puts on the size. He steps into the Mozzie role, and of course, he's the best run defender in the country. The leverage, the levers, the pad. He puts it all together, man. He puts it all together. I want to continue to see him grow and develop as a pass rusher, but I mean, he's ready to go as far as run defense is concerned. You're not running at Chris Jenkins. It's not happening.
Yeah. Big man. You put me on this guy. And we because last year we were looking a lot about Mozzie Smith. Mozzie Smith. We see him flash, but when you really watch him, like you said, he put on the weight. He's big. He's lean. He's athletic. He has versatility. Line up over the top. He does a lot of things. And the motor. I seen him chase down plays 20 yards down the field. He has that good initial burst from the snap. plays well through contact. Big Ten, we'll see Michigan play some better teams coming up. So he'll be more in the spotlight. You know, they haven't really played anybody yet this year, but once he gets more in the spotlight and people get to see him and what he possesses, if Mazi Smith went in the first round, I think Chris Jenkins can too, because I think he's a better pass rusher than Mazi Smith. Mazi Smith probably a little bit better in the run game, but Chris Jenkins is quicker, twitchier than the Mazi Smith. So, you know, you said earlier before in the live, man, Jenkins over Mazi Smith. I'm starting to lean that way as well.
Come get on this train, Drew.
Yeah, I'm already there.
Right.
You know, we talked about Rucker in terms of the disruption. Jenkins is another guy with the disruption, and he's one of those guys you can't. Either one of these guys, you can't miss them on the tape. If you're looking at other players, they just show up. You know, blowing up the center of that offensive line. I mean, it's and the biggest thing that you want from the trenches is just to be consistent. I mean, across the board, you want everybody to be consistent, but in terms of the defensive line, you want those guys to be consistent, and he's consistent from snap to snap. And if I'm not mistaken, is he not the kid of a former?
Yeah.
So he got the pedigree. Right, Christian. So
difference maker. Yeah.
There it is. So, man. But like Haley said, start playing this Big Ten schedule. Going to play some better guys like was it Donovan Jackson from Ohio State. So we'll soon see that. And I'm not sure what Michigan's schedule looks like. I need to take a look at it, but should be playing some guys, some dudes here soon enough.
Drew, let's talk a little bit about Jalen Ford. You know, a lot of entries here on the list from Texas. Of course, Texas is playing well.
I just got one question.
Got a good matchup here, but what's the question?
What is his number, bro? What number is he?
41.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, you dude's all over the place. He's all over the place. Whether he's back in pass coverage, whether he's coming downhill, sideline to sideline. I don't think there's anything he can't do at the position in terms of playing the linebacker position. He's actually probably, I'd say, top 3 in terms of defensive players that I like to watch, man, because he consistently shows up. I'm trying to watch the D-line, and he flashes. I'm trying to watch guys in the secondary. He's flashing. I love him, man. I think he's in the form of the new age linebacker, man. Ask him, he can play in a 3-4. I think he play in a 4-3. I think he might be the total package, man. Just want to see him continue to progress and produce.
Yeah, what he does in the passing game, that alone, you know, teams will covet that. He turns the football over, gets his hands on the football. Like you said, he flies sideline to sideline. So he possesses a lot of things teams will love. I think he's a better prospect than Overshone. That's two Cowboys you kind of hated on with Mazi and Overshone. They're good players, though, but I like Chris Jenkins and Jalen Ford a little bit more.
Where does Ford kind of stack up for you? I mean, I know it's still relatively early in the evaluation process, but just watching him and of course, what he does in the passing game, it's such a huge proponent of the second level defender now. Where does he stack up? We talked about Trotter a lot. We talked about Power Eccles, Barrett Carter. You know, the ACC got some guys. Where does Ford kind of?
I think he's right there
in the hierarchy.
I think he's right there 4, 5, 6 range.
Okay.
I do like Eichenberg too from Ohio State. You know, you can't, like you said, Clemson and Duke, they got the guys. Another guy we're going to talk about next, Cedric Gray, just the physicality that he plays with. You know, he's a little different than Jalen Ford. You know, he comes downhill. I think both of those guys could work on awareness a little more in the run game. But, you know, you get Gray in one of those attacking style defenses. He can stack and shed. He can improve also. But you get him coming downhill and blitzing the quarterback, man. He does a really good job of, you know, blowing things up, running over running backs, getting to the quarterback. That attacking defense that North Carolina runs, I think really took Cedric. Cause I look at him different now. Before he was like, he's okay, but how they use him now in this Carolina defense, you know, he's definitely jumping out on the tape for me.
And that's the thing about Cedric Gray, I think, too, is that you've seen him in that kind of sit back, let things kind of come to you, then make a play. And then now you're seeing the complete opposite of that, which is go downhill attack. So I think he may be at an advantage, and you might see him. You may be able to have a clear picture of this is who he is, and this is what we can do, right? So teams know exactly what they want to do with him, right? And what comes to mind with this is Ivan Pace Jr., who's balling right now for the Minnesota Vikings, who we tried to tell y'all, undrafted. We tried to tell y'all, but You know,
Nonsense,
there's no reason that guy should have gone undrafted.
Nonsense, bro.
Zero. But it was his size. But if you saw the violence that he plays with, I don't know that size mattered to me.
I mean,
it's crazy.
You can count on one hand how many 250-pound linebackers play in the NFL today, bro. It just doesn't make any sense, man. They really. I don't know, man. I understand it's a traits-driven business. I get that. But you turn on the tape and clearly, he's a guy. Capital GUI.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. He's kind of like a mixture of these two guys because he got the downhill thing that's great, and then he got pass coverage. Like Jalen Ford. You know, so he's kind of like the best of both worlds of both these players. And now speaking to it, Ford might go higher than Gray because of what he does in the passing game. Because I think Gray is kind of a liability a little bit in the passing game.
Josh Newton is a guy that I know you both are very high on. Of course, it didn't quite go according to plan at the very beginning of the season, but as the season progressed, and of course, you studied him very closely throughout summer scouting. Your thoughts on Newton, Headley?
Physical, feisty, outside corner. He might be one of the best man-to-man corners in this class. Just the size, how he runs down the sideline with these guys. You know, slot fades, man. You see players get beat time after time at the collegiate level with those slot fades. Not him. You know, he's competitive. He runs down. He turns his head around. He gets his hands on the football. He come up and tackle. Just really physical, man. So, you know, Josh Newton, I haven't, other than the Colorado game where we watched him, I haven't seen much TCU after that. So, you know, like we get into the schedule more in conference, want to see him more, man, because he has a lot of traits that I think teams would like as well.
Yeah, you spoke about it in terms of his ability to turn and locate the football. You know, there's a reason why a lot of DBs play DB and not receiver. They say it's because they can't catch, but it's also because can't turn and run and locate the football without losing speed or losing where you're at on the field. And Josh Newton has no issue with that at all. He locates the football. He's able to knock the ball away. And because of his ability to come up and be physical and tackle, I think he is a possibility because he can play man coverage so well. But as far as I'm concerned, he could probably play the nickel position. But we'll see how teams see him. But yeah, man, just stay the course, man. Just stay the course. I know Jim Nagy's looking for him to come out there for the Senior Bowl. There's a couple guys on here that need to be heading over to the Senior Bowl, but I'll be interested to see him out there as well.
Oh,
I love his swag and his attitude as well, man. I forgot to mention that short memory. That's what you need as a cornerback, man.
Yep, for sure. Let's stick with the defensive back theme. You got Malachi Moore from Alabama and Cole Bishop out of Utah. I'm gonna go back to you. Your thoughts on Moore and Bishop?
You know, Malachi Moore, he had a big freshman season for Alabama. Kind of tailed off a little bit. Your boy Brian Branch took over that star role, took his spot, but he got a spot back, man. He's balling out, man, because you see him all over the football field, running down guys in pass coverage, in the run game. He'll come up and make the tackle. So he's quick. He can undercut passes. He can get his hands on the football. And he reclaimed his status, man, because, you know, he started out strong, faded off a little bit, and now he's back. He's back right now. So, you know, his draft stock is definitely up right now.
Yeah, man, he's got the swag. He looks comfortable. He's locating the football. He's coming downhill with bad intention. He's playing that star role that Bama has over there, and he's looking like all the other players that played that star role, right? You know, so what I would want to see a little bit more from him in terms of production, turning the football over, being a little bit more of a playmaker. That's kind of how I see that star role. It's not only, you know, just coming downhill making plays, but it's also getting your hands on the football. And, you know, maybe that's a special thing. You know, only certain players can do that. A Minka, you know what I mean? Something like that. But I always look for that particular role. And I would assume he has it because he's got the position. So that's kind of what I'm looking for from him, man. But yeah, man, he's stellar. And then let me hit on this guy, Cole Bishop, who for me,
Kobe balling. Kobe balling, bro.
You can't. When you turn on the tape, I don't need to tell you his number. Just know he plays defense, and within the first play or two, you're gonna know who that guy is because he just finds the football.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter if it's a run, don't matter if it's a pass. it doesn't matter. His number shows up consistently, and it's almost to the point where like, yo, where did he come from, right? You know what I'm saying? And he can play the free safety role. He can play the nickel role. He can play the too high. He can come down in the box, make plays. He can cover the tight end. At times, my concern with him, before the season started is, he does get caught flat-footed sometimes. I don't know if that's him looking in the backfield or if that's him trying to guess and make a play on a short to intermediate play. But that's something, I want to see him continue to work on. But in terms of everything else, that boy's solid, bro.
Yeah, versatility is a new safety. You said it a while back, and he's very versatile. You see him everywhere. The two-man shell up top. You play him in the box as a second-level defender, in the slot as a corner, off the edge as a rusher. Safety is a position in vogue right now in the NFL. Teams will want to implement more safeties on the field. A safety could be an extra linebacker on the football field and on passing downs. And Cole Bishop gives your team that versatility to play the Legos, as we call it. Hips are very fluid in his back pedal, good range in the run and the pass game. And the thing I was looking for coming into this season, I wanted him to be more physical, more contact strength. And first game of the season, you saw the physicality and the contact strength, and he continues to progress. I think he's in the weight room getting stronger, and he's definitely a draft board riser. There's a lot of safeties on this list. We're going to talk about a lot of safeties, and yeah, he should be on that list with all these safeties as well.
I won't suggest that I've seen every snap from Cole Bishop this season because I haven't, but I've yet to see him miss a tackle. Like he does everything at a high level, everything. Sure. We talked about Cooper DeJean or Cooper DeJean. Somebody get my pronunciation right for me. They're different players. You can Bishop is a safety through and through. DeJean has the ability to play safety. Certainly he has more experience playing the boundary as a corner compared to a Cole Bishop. Just the plays Bishop makes at every level of the defense on a consistent basis, as you mentioned, Headley, you see the physicality. He's a tone setter, right? And like I said, Drew, you talked about him finding the football. He's always where he's supposed to be. He gets there and he makes the play. You know what I mean? I've yet to see him blow a coverage this season, miss a tackle, not be in the right gap, not cover, when they do a switch release, attack the receiver's outside shoulder when they're trying to run a bump. Like the leverage that he uses, everything has been perfect, precise. You can tell the preparation from the film to the weight room to the practice field all of it's translating on the fields on Saturday. So he's been phenomenal. All right, let's go back to the offensive side of the ball before we talk about a couple more safeties. You got Jonathan Brooks from Texas, and I'm not sure if D-Kid is still on the broadcast, but I certainly want his thoughts on Brooks. Now, Cedric Baxter, the really highly touted running back 5-star, he's gotten a little run. So is my guy Blue. I thought he would get a little bit more opportunity, but Brooks has taken the job and ran with it. You know what I mean? He's toting the pill. It's been effective. I want to see more. I know he's taking advantage of some big holes, but there's some times where you see some good footwork. You've seen him make some guys miss, and he's got fairly decent size on him. So I'm encouraged by what I see from him. Drew, Headley, based on your impression thus far, of course, we're going to watch him very closely this week against Oklahoma. What are your thoughts on Brooks?
Yeah, remember this is a guy we spoke about earlier. We got to watch him a little bit more. I think you've seen him more than we did. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know that that Texas has a committee running back, and I haven't watched enough of Brooks to speak on him because every so often it's a different running back.
Just me?
Yeah, it's just you, bro.
No,
listen. Every time they hand the ball off to a Texas running back, who do they end up mentioning as they commentating? Well, they had two guys last year, and a Roshan Johnson and a Bijan Robinson. So I don't even acknowledge who's running the football at the time. So I'm gonna not take some accountability. I'm gonna put it on the commentators. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, go watch him this week going against.
Oklahoma. Lock in on Brooks. Lock in on Brooks. What I saw very early in the season, I wasn't impressed. But what he's done over the last couple of weeks, He's gotten my attention. He's gotten my attention. I see a little bit more looseness in the hips. I see the ability to not only run with some physicality, but make a guy miss. That to me is paramount among ball carriers, right? And he's hitting his head on the goalpost too. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, being able to hold off Cedric Baxter and Blue is no small feat. Those are talented ball carriers that they have here, and they are riding Jonathan Brooks. So as well as the Texas defense is playing, and of course Quinn Ewers is protecting the football. You know about Xavier Worthy. You see Adonai Mitchell on this list as well. A big proponent of that offense. We talked about Jatavian Sanders as well. A big proponent of this offense. The reason why this offense has been able to stay on track, stay ahead of the chains, continue to move the football and score points is because of Jonathan Brooks. And he's garnering the attention of the national scouts now. The national scouts are starting to pay closer and closer attention, especially after he's coming off a couple of big weeks here over the last couple weeks. So we'll be locked in, certainly. Big rivalry game with Oklahoma and Texas coming up this Saturday. Tyler Nubin and Jaden Hicks, another pair of safeties. We talked about Hicks very, very early, both Nubin and Hicks for that matter, very early in the season, and they've continued to impress and are certainly helping themselves. We've talked about it previously. Very, very deep class of safeties. We know how deep the class is in terms of receivers, interior defensive linemen, quarterbacks. I mean, this is going to be a good draft. You know, we'll see who comes out, who stays, who returns to school, but certainly a lot of intriguing prospects, high-end talent in this draft, and Nubin and Hicks have stood out as well, Headley.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna say it now. I'm gonna say it right now, early. Jaden Hicks is my guy, bro. You know, I know a lot of talk.
You planting the flag? You planting the flag?
Yeah, I'm gonna plant the flag on Jaden Hicks. I'm not sure if he's coming out this year. I think he's a redshirt sophomore. So he could, you know, stay in college. But if you watch that Washington State defense, 25, man, he's a tone setter, man. He comes down, he hits. Guys come across the middle. I'm taking your head off. And what I like about him a lot is his ability to play man-to-man against those, you know, tight ends, those slot receivers, and coverage ability. I think that's where he separates himself a little bit from a Tyler Nubin. Nubin is more, you know, zone safety. What I do like about Nubin a lot is he triggers downhill quickly. He's instinctive. He'll step in front of the football, but man-to-man coverage, you know, if you want your safety to come down and do that, I think that's Jaden Hicks all day. I think Nubin is more physical, but, you know, Hicks flies around also, man, sideline to sideline. I think he's faster than Nubin. So both of these safeties are big draft risers along with Cole Bishop and Malachi Moore, but Jaden Hicks is my guy, man.
So before you get in there, Drew, I just want to ask you both on this. I want to make sure I want to clear this with HR. All right. It took one game. It took one game last year, first game of the season, for me to be like, Malachi Stark's gonna be a baller, bro. Is that low hanging fruit? Is he a 5-star? Went to Georgia. Is that too low hanging fruit? Can I call Malachi Starks my guy? He's not draft eligible.
No, bro. You
can't call him, bro.
It's touching the floor, bro.
Yeah.
No, because the low-hanging fruit is touching the floor, bro.
Oh, man, come on.
That's why I'm saying Will Anderson's my guy, bro.
Bro, I called Malachi Starks a first-round pick in 2025, bro, after one game.
No, bro. No. Not allowed, bro.
What you got, Drew?
Headley kind of said it all in terms of who these players are. Hicks is a guy coming downhill, going to lay wood. He is a guy you can't. He's between him and Nubin. I think Hicks is a guy you can't miss on tape. Nubin you might miss because maybe he's back there doing his thing in terms of coverage. But Hicks, I don't think he's a guy you can miss because he's coming downhill with bad intentions. He's similar to Cole Bishop in terms of being in every play. And Hicks is always where he's supposed to be. Nubin, I think, might be. Let me think through it. Let me think through it real quick. I'm just thinking through it.
Maybe a little bit more scheme specific.
But I think he's also very. He might. I don't know. I don't know if I want to put. I don't want to do it. Let me
say it, bro. What's he gonna say?
Bro.
He might be the smartest safety.
Okay. No, that's a good take.
Out of all the safeties, I think
Cole Bishop's pretty smart too. But yeah, that's
he is. That's how I was kind of holding back. Like, But he's in there. It's between those two guys, I would say, in terms of being the smartest safety. Because the thing we talk about with safety is two things. Well, it's really one thing. It's instincts. You got to have instincts when you're playing back. Then you got to be smart. Like those two things go together. Some people might think those are two in the same. They're two different things as far as I'm concerned in terms of attributes that you want from the position. And Newman plays with both of those as far as I'm concerned. But I think he is. I'm saying he's going to be a little bit more scheme dependent, play a little bit more in a zone scheme so he can read, react, and make plays on the football.
Yeah. Also, Cam Kitchens, bro, he's been hurt.
Yeah, he back this week, though.
Oh, he back. Okay, because this is a guy that we're kind of people are forgetting, not forgetting, but you haven't seen him recently, and he was our safety one coming in, and there's a lot of safeties, like you said, right here on the draft risers. So don't forget about Cam Kitchens, man.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, we back. We got G-Tech this weekend. So you feel me?
Mm-hmm.
We back in the building. Cameron Ward.
We do this every week, bro.
We got to. We got to. But he is a huge draft board riser. He truly is. Headley, you talked about him last year. You mentioned you like what you saw. Certainly had some questions in terms of how he plays within structure, holding on to the ball a little too much. I just want to go through a couple of things with you here. Cam Ward was sacked 46 times last year.
Mm-hmm. All
right.
That makes sense. He held the ball a lot. Your concern
obviously played out. Your concern played out. He's only been sacked 8 times this year. All right. He's playing much faster. He's navigating that pocket. He can still do wonderful things outside of structure, but playing at a very, very high level. And you talk about that year-to-year progression. Of course, 2020, 2021, he was playing Division II ball, all right, at Incarnate Cardinal. I'd never heard of it before.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to admit I'd never heard of that particular school. Transfers into Wazoo, 3,200 yards, 23 touchdowns, 9 INTs. I mentioned the 46 sacks, but you saw the flashes. He's put it together, gentlemen. He's put it together. He's completing just under 75% of his passes after completing 64% last year. He's on pace to shatter all his counting numbers from last year. 13 touchdowns already, no INTs. I mentioned he's getting the ball out quicker. He's making plays at every level, whether it be short, intermediate, or deep. He's in sync with some receivers that I like. We talked about this receiver class. There's some guys at Wazoo who can make it happen too. Now you're going to see a video coming out on Cam Ward and his receivers here shortly as well. So I'm all in. I'm all in. He keeps this up, he's going to be in the first round. He's going to be a first round selection. He keeps this up. Cam Ward is impressive, and I love the development. I love the year-to-year progression. I'm such a big proponent of that. You got guys who are going to be staying in school longer, particularly with NIL now. The flash in the pan 1 year, you have a great season, and then you fall off. It doesn't work for me. What Cameron Ward is doing with the step up in competition, stepping up his play, his snap-to-snap consistency has been really impressive.
Yeah, I was a big fan of his last season, watching him, and I loved him. And then the more I watched him, I'm like, man, he keeps drifting further back and back, and he's holding on to the football. He's getting sacked. I'm like, he's not a first round or a second round or third round guy. When more I watched him, because when I first put my eyes on him, I was like, wow,
you saw
he makes the wild plays incredible.
You saw the wow.
Yeah,
exactly.
The wild plays come normal to him, man. And I know Drew compared it to Michael Vick because he could escape. His escapability is top notch, but this season he's getting the ball out quicker. I think that's the key to his game, to his progression, working in the confines of the offense, getting it to your playmakers. You don't have to hit the home run every time, dumping it down to your outlet. So the more and more he improves that, the sky's the limit for him, man, because he got a plus arm. You see the different arm angles. He could throw it, like you said, deep, intermediate, short, and the legs, man. That's the name of the game right now in the NFL. These quarterbacks, you got to be athletic. You can't just sit in the pocket. You got to be able to maneuver well in the pocket, have that pocket presence. So he's doing all of that right now, man. Big draft riser. Him and Shedeur Sanders, to me, and they're both on this list right here, are the biggest quarterback draft risers. Mute.
You talked about his ability to escape and make plays and do all the fun stuff. That's the icing, right? So,
right.
In high school, that icing in Little League, that can take you to the championship. That can win you the championship. through and through, right? But in college, and especially in the pros, we got to have the cupcake, bro. Like we don't necessarily need the icing to get the wins, right? And be consistent. And he's starting to put it together. He's got the mixture. He's got the mixer going. He's got it in the oven. It's baking and it's coming together. And we're going to put the icing on top once it's all said and done. By maybe season's end, we've been talking about this team in terms of this might be one of those teams that's going to ruin someone's season in the Pac-12, or they may be the team. Because we talk about their defense as well in terms of Jaden Hicks being on the other side on the opposite side of the football. So this may be a team that ruins somebody's season, or this may be the team that takes it all the way and no one's talking about them. I don't know why why people aren't talking about them enough, because they have a quarterback. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? When you talk about Bo Mix for Oregon, you talk about Michael Penix for Washington, you talk about USC, or you talk about Caleb Wynn for USC, you talk about Shedeur Sanders for Colorado. Like, why the hell are we not talking about Cameron Ward? You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of strange. It's kind of weird, but maybe it's out of sight, out of mind. I don't know.
It's coming. Yeah. It's coming. It's undeniable. It's undeniable what he's capable of, bro. And right. now it's showing up every Saturday now. It's not the wow. It's not the flash. And then, okay, what is he doing? You got to get the ball out. You got to understand when that play's over. He's putting it all together, and he's impressive, man. He's impressive. He has helped himself a ton. Again, I don't think Shedeur is coming out. Cameron Ward might be the guy that we think Shedeur is in the 2024 NFL draft. That's the way I'm kind of viewing it. You understand what I'm saying? So really impressed with what he's doing, what he continues to do at Wazoo. Adonai Mitchell, transfer from Georgia, is off to a really good start. Of course, Xavier Worthy is the guy when it comes to that passing attack. But Mitchell, that frame, 6'3", 6'4", around 200 pounds, certainly has the NFL frame. What's impressed me is that obviously he's getting more of an opportunity here in Texas, but his ability to stretch the field. Mm-hmm. I saw, in limited spots, I saw the body control and the hands, good strong hands. That was impressive. But of course, Georgia, they ran the football. Ladd McConkey and Brock Bowers. That was the passing game, right? Mitchell was, an outlier.
Afterthought.
Absolutely. So he transfers over to Texas, and given the opportunity, he has made plays. You know what I mean? Through a handful of games this season, 22 catches, 321 yards, and 4 TDs. And again, he's not necessarily the focal point, but I do believe the skill set and the traits that he possesses is why he's one of the bigger draft board risers, right? More of an opportunity, not necessarily the focal point of the offensive attack, but a nice compliment to Xavier Worthy, right? And given his opportunities, he's made the most of them. So I like what I've seen from Mitchell. And again, Texas at large on both sides of the ball. I almost got Tavondre Sweat on here. You know what I mean? I almost worked him on here because he's having an excellent senior campaign as well. But the last player is Brendan Rice, receiver from USC, who's a transfer from Colorado, right? Really didn't do much at Colorado. Of course, Colorado until this year had been in the doldrums. He transfers to USC last year, got a little bit more opportunity. I think he came down with about 39 grabs, 4 or 5 TDs. I think he's already up to 8 touchdowns this year, right? Big time red zone threat. Son of Jerry Rice.
Yeah, man. That's
son of Jerry Rice, right?
Obviously
we talk a lot about Marvin Harrison Jr. Here we now have the greatest receiver of all time, his son, really starting to come into his own here, Headley.
Yeah, man. Coming out beginning of the season, I thought it was going to be Dorian Singer, the transfer from Arizona, but it's been Brendan Rice. He has that familiarity with Caleb Williams, played on the team last year with him, and he's the go-to guy right now for USC. Like you said, 8 TDs, played big, I think last week against Colorado. And yeah, man, just continue to watch because USC have a plethora of wide receivers, and you kind of didn't know where to stack them. The Singer, Mario Williams, Taj Washington, Brendan Rice. And it looks like Rice might be the alpha of this wide receiver core.
He's certainly the preferred target in the red zone, certainly, right? And he gives you a little something after the catch too. So I've been impressed from what I've seen from Rice.
Yeah, it was strange. Well, it was Colorado, but it's strange to me that they didn't challenge him at the line of scrimmage. They just kind of gave him a free release, and you give him a free release, he's going to give you that whoop shebang. create the separation and wide open. Like, it was rinse and repeat for him. Like, oh, they're not going to challenge me. Okay, cool. No worries. I'll just create the separation here at the top of the route, and it's a wrap. And he did it consistently over and over. So, you know, we'll see. I'm trying to see him work in between the 20s between the 20s versus inside the 20s, do more damage there. But like Juice, like you said, he's a big time red zone threat. It might be Caleb Williams' favorite target inside that red zone.
Yeah, and I, he's considered a significant draft board rise because I don't think Brendan Rice was considered a draftable prospect heading into this season. Right. Just on the sheer lack of production, and he's already changed that narrative, right? And there's a lot more season to go, and Caleb Williams is playing out of his mind. So I expect Brendan Rice to continue to put up substantial numbers and help his draft stock. So definitely looking forward to watching all of these players continue to progress and help themselves. Hopefully they can maintain or build on the impressive start that they've already had to the 2023 season. All right. So with that being said, let's preview the game of the week. We've alluded to it. We've mentioned it several times. Big time rivalry. What do they call it? The Red River Showdown. Is that what they call it now? They used to call it the shootout. Now it's the showdown, if I'm not mistaken. Texas and Oklahoma. Oklahoma, big turnaround. Brett Venables, I believe in the second year, big turnaround. They're playing good football. Texas obviously has played very well to this point as well. What do you guys think about this matchup? Who are you dialed in on? Of course, Jonathan Brooks. You guys both said you need to watch a little bit more Jonathan Brooks, but beyond Jonathan Brooks, what are you focused on either side of the ball?
For me, I'm looking at the offensive weapons for Texas. We talked about Adonai Mitchell. You got Xavier Worthy, Jatavian Sanders. I think Quinn Ayers might have a field day against Oklahoma. I know Oklahoma defense is getting better. It's improving. But I watched the tape last week, and they still have a lot of holes on that defensive side of the football. So I think is going to, create mismatches out there because he has three guys that are pretty much mismatches out there. So I think he's going to find those guys early and often. So that's what I'm looking at. If you want to talk prospects, you got, like I said, Worthy, Mitchell, Jatavian Sanders, Quinn Ewers, Tavondre Sweat, the big D tackle from Texas. Also Jalen Ford that we mentioned earlier, the linebacker in the passing game. Also, I like Searle, Baron Searle. Oh yeah, Jalen Catalone, that guy. You're gonna see number 11. He's gonna be flying all over the field, man. Head first out there, looking like your boy Jamal Adams. That last game, he concussed himself. Hopefully, he doesn't concuss himself, man. But he's gonna be flying around like that all game against Oklahoma. And I know you'll probably talk about Oklahoma prospects, Drew, but I like what I see from that boy Tyler Guyton, that tackle over there in Oklahoma.
That's going to be an interesting matchup with all the defensive linemen that Texas has. So that's definitely a matchup to watch out for. Also, a guy we had talked about, we had talked about in the but before the season started, in our pre what were we calling it earlier? I forget what we were calling it. We were breaking down. Yeah, summer. I couldn't think of it. Was my guy Rondell Barthrod. And if I'm not mistaken, transfer from Wake Forest. Kind of an edge linebacker-ish. Hybrid that I'm interested to see going up against that offensive lineman for Texas. That's a guy I'm looking for. And I got one more guy. I got to back up here. Hold on. Who was my other guy? I lost him.
I got a couple guys. Danny Stutzman.
Danny Stutzman. There it is.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Danny Stutzman. He's quick to the football. You're gonna see him come on blitzes. He goes sideline to sideline as well. Billy Bowman, the safety from Oklahoma. Once he gets the ball in his hands, he's like a returner. He's like Cooper DeJean on that aspect. Could return the football. He's a little smaller, but he's very instinctive as well. And the offensive line, we talked about Guyton. Look out for Andrew Rame, the center, and the quarterback, Dylan Gabriel. He continues to produce. He's the guy that's not being talked about, but he uses his legs. and he puts up numbers each and every week. I don't know how good of a pro prospect he is. He doesn't strike me as a pro prospect type of guy, but he continues to improve, man. So definitely a guy to keep an eye on in this game.
All right. It certainly isn't the only game that has our attention here. Obviously, Texas versus Oklahoma, pair of ranked teams, the history in this particular matchup. But you got a trio of contests in the SEC. The SEC competition is about to heat up. LSU versus Missouri, Bama at Texas A&M, and Kentucky at Georgia. Of those three games, any particular one that piques your interest the most, Headley? Any particular player that you want to get a glimpse of in any of those contests?
We talked about your boy All Day Ray, man. I want to see him again. Who's he playing? Who's Kentucky playing?
Georgia.
Oh, okay. So that's the matchup for all matchups, man. If he could produce again in that game like he did against Florida, his name is definitely going to be on the map.
That's not happening, bro.
It's not happening.
No, because Devin Leary looking like a shell of his former self. Can't.
Well, yeah, that was Drew's guy.
It was. He looks terrible. I mean, that accuracy. I don't know what's going on. He looked awful, and you can't throw for 69 yards versus Georgia and think you're gonna win, bro, because you're not running for 280. So I'm gonna need him to wake up. Otherwise, they have no shot. And obviously, this isn't the Georgia team of old, but sure. They're no slouches out there, right? They get better game by game. It's just they just need to play. So he got to wake up. A game I'm looking forward to, and I'm not familiar with anybody really on Maryland outside of Tua's brother at the current moment. So I'm going to be scouring this football team in terms of Maryland going up against Ohio State. Both teams are undefeated. So that there's a little bit of sexy there, intrigue there. So in Ohio State, I don't think is as good as Ohio State fans think they are, to be honest with you. They got some work to do. But this will be interesting. I'm gonna start keying on some guys from Maryland, see if I can bring some guys to the table next week and talking about stock up guys.
For sure. I wanna kind of make a decision. I'm still on the fence a little bit. I want to make a decision about how I feel about Denzel Burke. That's what I'd like to do.
I think he's playing better than last season.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he's their best DB.
I'm not debating that. I'm just talking about where does he slot in among the pantheon of defensive backs, corners.
For this year?
How strongly do I feel about him for this upcoming draft class?
Because a lot of people had him cornerback 3 coming in.
Yeah, I don't know what they was doing. I don't know what tape they was watching.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
fine.
And that's my point. This is supposed to be a quality Maryland offense. Obviously, the younger Tago Vailoa is playing very well. Maryland's undefeated, so it's a good test. I think it's a good test. Now, I think we all would agree that there's more depth regarding talent on Ohio State. Ohio State has a good defensive line, and they can certainly challenge Maryland with their front seven. But if they can get it blocked up, then how does the back end hold up? Right? They had some issues last year. No question about it. So that's really what I'm going to be keying as it relates to this particular game is how does Burke fare?
Now Will Johnson, that guy is special. He's not draft eligible, but Will Johnson, he's going to be either cornerback 1 or 2 when he does become draft eligible. So I do like him over Burke.
I'm gonna stay in the SEC. Well, obviously I'm gonna watch Miami because I gotta watch Miami. The return of Cam Kitchens. I'm interested. I'm intrigued with the Bama Texas A&M matchup, and what I'm focused on. Obviously, there's talent on both sides of this of this particular contest, right? But I'm really interested about what's happening in the trenches. Texas A&M's defensive line has been dominant over the last 3 weeks, right? They're leading the country in tackles for loss, sacks. Nobody can seemingly run the football on them. Miami got them, though. That was like 48 points we dropped on them. Just want to put that out there. But since that game, I got to put it out there, bro. What you mean? Why you?
No, you got to put it out there, bro. You got to put it out there. I respect it, bro.
You got to respect it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
McKinley Jackson, that Texas A&M tackle, He's a baller, bro. He's a baller.
Yeah, and you know how I feel about Damari Richardson. You know how I feel about Edgerrin Cooper. You know, Texas A&M has good football players, and of course they can score points as well. So Bama is not the Bama that we are accustomed to, but they seemingly have figured some things out on the defensive side of the ball. They've realized that Jalen Monroe is their best option at quarterback. There's some confidence that's building on the Bama side of things. The way they handled Ole Miss 2 weeks ago, you know, I think this could be a really good physical contest, and I'm really interested in what's happening in the trenches in this one. So I'll be checking that one out.
Yeah, I want to see if your boy is Max Johnson still a starter over there?
No. They got another younger guy who I think is Weigman, if I'm not mistaken, Weigman.
Okay.
He has talent. You know, Evan Stewart out there be balling.
They got Moose Muhammad and
Moose Muhammad.
Yeah, they got some
Anaya
receivers.
Smith. Yeah,
get the ball to those guys.
Yeah. So, yeah, this should be an intriguing one, right? And then, of course, you know, Saban, Jimbo, they have history. You know, I'm not really a fan of either, but
there you go, bro. I had to put it up for you. I had to put it up.
By the way, I was supposed to go, and I'm trying to get my boy Trey to decide, because we were supposed to go for his birthday, right? You know what I'm saying? If we're gonna go, because if we'll make a decision, my wife's gonna start making plans for that weekend. You feel me? I'll be hurt, bro. So you feel me? But I think I might have to go. This was, you know, Tallahassee is my old stomping ground, so I might have to go check that one out, man.
Yeah, I don't know about game of the year, but it's gonna be probably the best game in a while in this rivalry.
I think it's gonna be. I think Miami FSU gonna play each other twice this year.
Ooh, over North Carolina. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think Miami.
What you think about that, Drew?
Miami's gonna pass who? What did he say?
He's gonna play FSU twice. That means they're winning that side of the conference over North Carolina.
It's possible. Yeah, that's not far fetched. Yeah, Clemson out of there. You can check. Them boys checked out.
Oh yeah, they done.
They done.
Yeah,
done like dinner.
Yeah. I think your point that is the game that it comes down to.
Right.
I think that's the game it comes down to. But I think there's a legitimate shot that FSU Miami, you know, face for the first time in the ACC championship this year.
I'd like to see that.
I think it certainly could happen.
I think the game of the year is going to belong somewhere in the Pac-12, just because there's so many good teams over that way.
Or the Big Ten. Or the Big Ten.
Or the Big Ten. Yeah.
Josh Gaddis is terrible, man. Like, I didn't realize until I saw it with my own two eyes how bad he was. I don't know how he won the Broyles Award, which is given to, you know, the top assistant coach in the country. I don't know how he managed that.
He paid somebody.
It was awful, bro. What I saw last year was terrible. And of course, Mario has transformed the roster. We talked about, you know, what Prime has done with Colorado's roster with all the transfers. It's a combination of incoming freshmen. I think Miami is like top 3 in the country in terms of freshman snaps among all teams. Yeah. And then, of course, he hit the portal as well. So got the offensive line right, got some actual depth. Van Dyke is healthy. He's playing with confidence. And he's, you know, and the reality is, as well as Van Dyke is playing, this team, Miami is a run-first team. As well as he's playing, he's spreading the ball around. You got 3-4 receivers making plays, but you got another 4. You got like 3-4 backs who also toting the pill. So, yeah, it's gonna be a real good game. It's gonna be a real good game.
That's kind of what I want to see from FSU. I want to see that run game, because I know the potential of that run game.
It hasn't quite
really
got on track. It hasn't got quite on track. Yeah. I'm with you there. I know y'all were toting your guy Benson, man. He don't look right. He don't look right.
Wait till he play Miami.
Okay. All right.
That's why he's gonna have that 200-yard game.
It ain't gonna be a repeat of last year, my boy. It ain't gonna be a repeat of that, bro. No way. Can't have that.
Who's home in that game?
What's that?
Who's home in that game? It's FSU?
Yeah, it's FSU.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, fellas. Great show. Thanks everyone for tuning in, participating. Like I said, if you've been lurking, be sure to hit the like button for us. And oh, by the way, in the description, take advantage of our promo code CPGM Underdog Fantasy 2x your initial deposit up to $100. So if you deposit $100, get $200. These over unders, Drew.
Trying to tell you, bro.
We get into the money, Drew.
Yeah, we getting it. We getting it, bro.
I didn't come through last night, but
listen.
We're gonna be back on it Sunday.
I want people to know, my man needed. I just needed 2 catches, bro. Just 2 catches, just 2 more catches, and we there, bro. We there.
2 more catches, man.
I woke up, I checked it, bro, and I went right back to sleep, bro.
Oh,
put me right back to sleep.
hurt.
So it is what it is.
He was hitting Logan Thomas and Antonio Gibson all night, man.
He was hitting Byron Pringle out there, bro.
Jamison Crowder.
You know, Jamison Crowder, bro.
But my boy, the receiver 1 wasn't even getting no work. Curtis Samuel wasn't even getting no work, bro.
Nah, he got work.
Curtis Samuel had like 4 grabs, bro.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, before we go.
McLaurin and Dotson, bro.
This is untrue.
Oh, you took the comment. Hey, I got the next one.
This is untrue. This is untrue.
Baker playing really well.
We are achieving, not overachieving. Y'all just didn't know. You just didn't know.
I slept on Baker. He's getting the ball out quick. He's doing his thing. You were right. On Baker.
Listen. It was always about the offensive line. As long as the offensive line can do their jobs, it was always
Donovan Smith up out of there.
Addition by subtraction.
Embarrassment. Yeah, addition by you got it, bro.
Embarrassment now, huh?
Yeah, you're embarrassed.
Drew, you were defending Donovan Smith tooth and
nail. I was, bro. Pewter colored glasses, dog. You feel me?
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, it's time, man. It's time, bro. Ritter got it. Yeah, he ain't it, bro.
Or
I think he got to come in.
Or you just play Ritter, bro, and you know what I'm saying?
Tank for the QB.
Tank for the QB. You think Cam Ward? You can play Heineken and Cam Ward will be there for you, huh?
Yeah, Cam would be there. I'm hoping McCarthy would be there, maybe. You know, in a team somewhere. But
so hold on. Whoa. If y'all tanking, you're gonna be up there like
no. But I don't think it's a full blown tank if they start Heineke though. I think
I got you.
He's saying put Ritter in there.
No, keep Ritter and you tank it.
Ritter in there, bro.
Yeah, nosedive.
I don't know, man. I don't think Arthur Smith about that life, man. I think he want to be competitive.
Oh, man. Stay off that. Caleb to the Giants. It's not happening, bro. How y'all gonna get out of that contract? Y'all just gonna sit? You just gonna sit your boy?
Nah, they gonna eat it.
Gonna eat it?
They're gonna eat it. This ain't a Kyler Murray. This ain't a Kyler Murray deal, bro. They gonna eat that, bro. If they got a chance to draft Caleb Williams, they gonna take that $40 million or whatever it is of dead money. Call it a day. Absolutely. Hey. No hesitation, bro. No hesitation, bro. I I was hard on Daniel Jones, and then I was like, okay, I get it. Offensive line again. This
still
year,
the same problems. It's the offensive
line. Same problems. Yeah. Still the same problems. But what there's a limit to that though, right? Yeah. As bad as the offensive line is, there are plays to be made, and he's not seeing the field well. Once a guy starts seeing a rush, it's all over, bro. Once he starts seeing a rush, and that's not necessarily his fault. But there's too many plays when they are available to be made that
he's not making.
Yeah. And you don't have the excuse of being a young quarterback anymore.
Right. We paid you now.
I'm not putting it all on Daniel Jones. I'm not saying it's all his fault, but this is the reality of things. You know what I'm saying?
And they paid him so much. They paid him the money too. When you get that bag, you gotta kind of
it goes out the window.
Bring everybody along and perform, man. And Saquon Barkley is over there like, hey, you see? You paid the wrong guy. You paid the wrong guy.
Yo. All right, gents. Let's get out of here. We will be back next week, Friday. I mentioned it previously, but it just didn't happen. We're about to get on track here. Things are about to pick up. Look for our initial top 32. We'll have our first top 32 ranking among 2024 NFL draft prospects for you next week. So for Headley, Drew, this is Juice. We'll see you next week.